On the 21st of June, Sheffield residents gathered outside the Sheffield Town Hall and Vulcan House to demonstrate against the planned deportation of Lemlem Hussein Abdu to Ethiopia. Lemlem, an elderly Eritrean woman, is not a citizen of Ethiopia. She has never been there, does not know the language, and has no friends or family there. The UKBA planned to deport Lemlem on Sunday the 24th of June, but Sheffield residents and politicians have gathered to try and stop the deportation.
Well, I'm here as the Member of Parliament for Sheffield Central, which is where Lemlem was last living in the city. But I'm here as well because, like so many others, I'm kind of moved by the strength of her case. It would be simply outrageous for this country to remove an elderly, disabled woman to a country she doesn't know, where she wouldn't be welcome, where she doesn't speak the language, where she's never lived. And by any measure of humanity, that's completely unacceptable. And we need to raise our voices to make that point. I have, together with the Bishop of Sheffield, sought a meeting with the Home Secretary and with the Immigration Minister to raise the concerns of Sheffield people, and I urged the Home Secretary to end the deportation.
We are singing for our lives.
The situation right now is she's in Yardwood Detention Centre. She was detained on Tuesday after she went to sign at UKBA. She's absolutely terrified to the core of being taken to Ethiopia.
And why is she scared of being taken to Ethiopia? What would happen to her if she was taken?
She'd be completely destitute. She is 62 years old. She has disabilities. Because she has no family and no connections in that culture and no physical ability to work, and there is no welfare system, and she doesn't speak the language, she probably would be reduced to begging. There seems to be no other alternative. Because she's ethnically Eritrean in Ethiopia, she would face discrimination. She's very unlikely to attract sympathy on the street. The chances are she would just simply die of starvation.
And why can't Lemlem go back to Eritrea?
Lemlem's been politically active all her life. She and her family were members of the ELF, the Eritrean Liberation Front. She's been active, particularly since being in the UK, where she's had more freedom of movement to do so. She's been to many demonstrations in protest at the Eritrean government. They will certainly have her on record. There is absolutely no mercy there for people who have been active against the government.
Why did Lemlem come to the UK in the first place?
Because of persecution by the Ethiopian military. Having got refugee status in Sudan, she then went to Saudi Arabia as a domestic worker. Her employers brought her here several times just because they travelled and she was their domestic, and she went with them. In 2000, on a visit to the UK, she suffered a serious injury and that impaired her ability to work. In 2007, on a later visit, her employers abandoned her here because she was unable to work. It was no use to them. They'd stopped paying her since 2000. So she was left here alone. At that point, she couldn't speak a word of English, and she had always been illiterate up to that point. And the advice she was given was to claim asylum.